Hello everyone, my name is Josh. So happy to be here today. I'm a sommelier with Park 90. It's a wine bar at Regent Hotel, and you can check us out at park90.com. So today I've been invited to talk about the basics of wine tasting. I know a lot of people have been drinking wine at home because of the pandemic. So if you're ordering wines, from a lot of online, this is something that you can use to appreciate wine with your friends and family at home. So let's begin. When we talk about wine tasting, how to appreciate wine, it's basically with any beverage, you want to use your senses, so your sight, your smell, and also your taste. If you have your wine glass, you can actually take it. So the first is to actually look at it. The color of the wine tells you a lot of different things. A lot of people, when they look at the color, they try to point it at the light. This is actually not the best way to do it. What you want is actually to take a blank white piece of paper or just a white backdrop, tilt the glass at a 45 degrees angle, and then just observe the color. So color tells you a lot of different things. It tells you the grape varietal. If you have a wine that is lighter in color, it most likely is a lighter grape, lighter color grape like Pinot Noir. Or if you have a color that's really deep and rich, then it's probably going to be a grape varietal that's like Cabernet Sauvignon and Malbec that has very, very deep color. Besides color, I think the color of the wine also tells you the age of the wine. So if you have, for example, we're tasting a lot of red wines today. For red wines, for young red wines, it tends to be a bit purple and ruby, and older red wines tend to be a bit more garnet, tawny, or even amber and brown. So that's one thing as well when you look at the color. Another thing to look at is also look at the clarity of the wine. If you see that the wine is a bit hazy, that can tell you a lot about the winemaking style. Perhaps it's a natural wine, which is very trendy these days. It's a bit cloudy, it's unfiltered and unfined. If you notice there are some sediments over there in the wine, that means the wine is probably aged and has to be decanted. So these are some things you want to notice when you look at the color of the wine. I know it's a lot, but actually when you describe wine, you can just tell, for example, like for this wine, I'll say it's a wine that is clear, it's medium ruby. I would say it's a young wine. And by just saying a simple little sentences like that, you sound so sophisticated already. Alright, so now that we've actually looked at the color of the wine, we want to smell the wine right now. So give it a good swirl over here. Basically what you want to do is actually to release the aromatic compounds in the wine so you can smell the wine better. People say that if you hold, the lower you hold in the stem, the more elegant you look. So if you want to be very elegant at home, you can do that. So I'll give it a quick swirl. Nosed it. And what you want to do firstly is to assess the condition of the wine. Make sure the wine is actually in good condition and not spoiled. So if you smell notes of maybe like wet newspaper or wet cardboard, that means the wine is corked, it's spoiled. You should send it back if you're at a restaurant. Or for example, let's say if you smell a lot of honey, a lot of caramel, dried fruits, and the wine is young. These are very oxidative notes in the wine, which you should not get in a young wine. So this one means that the wine has aged faster than it should be as well, and the wine is spoiled. So get a new bottle as well. But I think the more fun part is actually to really enjoy the aromas of the wine. I think that's why people smell the wine. Some people they say that they don't know what they're smelling, but actually if you categorize them in 5 different categories, what I like to tell wine beginners as well, you smell the fruit, you smell the flowers, the herbs, the spice, and the oak. And if you categorize them in these 5 categories, it's actually easy to describe the wine. So for example, fruit, I'll give you a trick. For red wine, it usually falls between red fruits or black fruits. If it's a lighter bodied wine, it's mostly red fruit dominant, so more cherries, more strawberries and raspberries, cranberries. And if the wine is a bit heavier, richer and bolder, it tends to have more black fruit characteristics like cassis, black plums, blackberries. So this will give you a trick, the wine is light, you just say, oh, it smells of strawberries, cranberries. Even if you don't smell it, someone else in the room will. All right, and lastly, I think this is everyone's favorite part to actually drink the wine. So don't gulp it back. Slowly, we're appreciating wine. So what you want to do is take a generous amount and put it in your palate, and you want to swirl it, keep it in your palate and swirl it around for about 5 to 10 seconds. You notice some people at high-end restaurants, they try to, they slurp in some, they suck in some air as well, like that. That's also okay because you want to actually suck in some oxygen and mix it with the wine because it brings out the flavor even more. So I'll just show you as well so you can follow along. So swirl about 5-10 seconds. I like to cover every bit of my palate, including my gums up here. So of course you're trying to appreciate the flavors that the wine is giving you as well. So oftentimes when you smell the distinct aromas of fruit, flowers, herbs, spice and oak, that's what you will taste as well. But other than the flavors, we're also looking at 5 different things. I like to call it SATAB, S-A-T-A-B. So firstly, sweetness. Is the wine sweet or dry? So I'm talking not about fruit notes, I'm talking more about sugar. So in this case, does the wine have any residual sugar? Most wines out there are dry. Some wines you'll find like Rieslings they have a bit of residual sugar, so we would describe that wine as off-dry. Wines that are sweet are mostly like ice wines from Sauternes or Tokai. These are all dessert wines. So wines that you'll be tasting today, they all should be dry. Secondly, for A, you're looking for acidity. So whether the wine has high acid or low acid. How do you detect that? If you salivate a lot after swirling the wine in your mouth for 5-10 seconds, then the wine has very high acid. If you don't salivate as much, then it has low acid. This is a good indicator if you want to do food pairing. For example, if you have food that's very high acid, you want to match it with a wine that has high acid as well. Because if you have a high acid type of food or cuisine and you pair it with a wine that's low acid, the wine is going to taste very flat and flabby. So a tip for you as well. T is for tannins. So tannins is that drying effect that you have after drinking wine. Similar to drinking tea as well. You have that astringent, drying palate, that feeling and sensation in your mouth. So this is when you notice, this is mostly for red wines. Wines that make your mouth really dry, those are high tannin wines, and wines that are a bit more smooth, a bit more silky and velvety, those are wines with smoother tannins. So this will give you an indicator if you want to pair it with, red meat, for example, that's very rich. You want to pair it with a wine that is high tannin as well, so that they can actually bind together and sort of smoothen it out in your palate, so it's more palatable and more enjoyable to eat and drink. And for the next one, A, is alcohol as well. So alcohol, how to detect that is to see if your throat actually warms up. If your throat becomes really warm, then the wine has very high alcohol. And if it doesn't, then it has low alcohol. And for those of you who, alcohol can tell you sometimes the style of the wine. So for instance, a wine that has very high alcohol tends to be very rich and very bold. So I would say above 14%, that's high in alcohol. So if you're shopping for wines as well, if you want something that's a bit lighter, in style, you don't want such a heavy wine that day, then get a wine that's maybe like 11-12% instead of 14%. A cool trick that I do when I'm shopping for wine as well. And the last is B, which is for body. So body talks about whether the wine is light-bodied, it's medium-bodied, or full-bodied, and this is more so much talking about the weight of the wine. So just imagine yourself drinking skim milk versus full cream milk. Skim milk, you tend to be a bit more lighter and elegant, it's smooth, and then full cream milk is obviously more rich and intense. So this will help you also in terms of picking out wine based on your style, or also pairing with food. So you want to pair, lighter style of food with lighter wines, and of course, heavier meats, richer meats with richer wines. So that's basically the 5 things I assess is when I'm talking about the taste of the wine, and of course the fruit characteristics as well. Do I taste blackberries, blueberries, flowers, any cigar, dark chocolate in this wine? So I think when you mention that a little bit, or when you analyze that deeper, when you're appreciating tasting wine, you appreciate it more, because you're actually really assessing it in detail. All right, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this session with me, the basics of wine tasting. I hope you learned a little bit more that you can share with your friends and family. So I think now it's time for you to pop open a bottle and enjoy some vino. Once again, my name is Josh. I'm a sommelier with Park 90. If you want to come down to Regent Hotel to visit me, I will be happy to pop open a bottle for you. So see you soon. Thank you.